gotta learn to love ourselves.
We're gonna blow our brains out.
Okay. All right. Let's do this.
Let's kick it off.
Okay,
All
let's
right.
do this.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome back to the Combat Based Podcast. Here for another show. We got a news announcement. Okay.
What's up, Tob?
What's up, Tob? So, I am not going to be on the show anymore.
Laugh crying. That was funny. Oh.
So the show
Must go on.
The show must go on, but I'm not going to be on the show.
Real life has intervened.
Yes, I think what I realize is that the show, for it to grow and be more, requires more. Everything takes time, and I think that either I would need to spend more time on the show, or I would have to have a better set of skills that allow me to help the show grow. And in figuring that out, I realized that I have other stuff in my life that needs to be tended to. And as is, I feel like I'm slipping on my other stuff. So I feel like I need to use this time to tend to my other endeavors, is where I'm at.
And that being said as well, the show would not exist without Tobin.
That's correct.
Tobin was the creator of the show, the pioneer, and has really been the entire backbone of the show. Chris and I just show up and chatter.
Yep.
And Tobin has done, for the last at least more than 6 months, has done everything else. We did have a brief stint where we had Suni, and then we had John for quite some time in the beginning. And we had a lot of high hopes for the direction that this show could go. And I think that it's brought a lot of positivity to a lot of you, the listeners, right? Chris and I always get a lot of feedback that people listen to the show every week, and especially our Combat Base Club members who are out there listening and staying connected with us, and creating more conversations. I think there's a lot of conversations that can be had, and people who become interested in joining the Combat Base Club because of what they hear on the show and things that we talk about and kind of our philosophy. So that's all because of Tobin doing that, because our YouTube channel was doing nothing for many a year.
Yep.
Chris and I have a lot of thoughts, ideas, and aspirations, but we have a very limited resource of this thing called time, and we both
both lack follow through.
We lack follow through. We're really tired a lot because we're got aches and pains and problems and
stupidity
kids and what?
Stupidity.
Sometimes. We have some stupidity. We also are a husband and wife team trying to work together who have very different philosophies and personalities, and I think it's really hard. Like, if a couple out there is thinking about going into business like this with each other, I mean, you have to do a really long think about that before you decide to commit to something like that, because it is really, really challenging. And we were together over 10 years before I decided to be part of the martial arts business aspect of our relationship. It was not something I wanted to do. Something inside me just said that wouldn't be good for our relationship.
And the Combat Based Club is ultimately, I'm going to say 80%, Melissa. The work.
Only 80%? Are you sure?
I do some.
Ha 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 ha. Yes, the Combat Based Club was my idea. Was 100% my idea.
Born in COVID.
Yeah, born out of COVID, and it's something that's still growing and becoming. But anyways, that was all a long-winded speech to say that Tobin is
much appreciated.
Tobin is everything in this podcast, and so I am very. I have always said that it's whatever Tobin wants. As long as Tobin wants to work on it. And I'm happy that Tobin is going to take care of the things that he needs to take care of. You, Tobin, are going to do that. I'm happy about that. And I'm just trying to remain open to what's going to come in the future.
Well, I would just say thanks for trusting me with your brand and for letting me do the show. It's been super cool. I've learned so much, and it's been a really fun experience, and I've loved hanging out with you guys and getting to know you. So it's been awesome for me as well. So thank you for that.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's been rad. But it sounds like where we're at is we're going to do today's show. We're going to do one more show, and the guest on the next show is going to be our new producer.
That's correct.
So we got Vince that's coming in my place. He's going to take over the show, and he's going to do his thing. He's already a podcaster. He knows what to do.
Yep.
And my hope is to see the show continue to grow. I think this is an awesome show. It's super cool, and I'll be a fan, and we'll listen to it.
And you're welcome back anytime, obviously.
Thanks.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
If you want to come back, you're always welcome.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know. I think I have this like apprehension towards change. Like I really like Vince. I think he's a super nice guy.
no.
But you know, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like been the
This is
three
a
of us
pretty
this whole
intimate
time.
thing.
This is
Yeah.
our little posse, and so it's just a change, you know. So it might be weird for the listeners to even think about that as well. They might I mean, of course, it's probably more weird for me because I'm sitting in the chair, but you know,
Well,
we'll
Vince already has a podcast that's good, and he I would say he's a little more professional sounding than I am, and he's already doing it, and he has some different little tricks and tips and things to add to the show. So my hope is that it continues to grow and becomes an amazing show.
It becomes
in
even
my
better.
Absence, yeah.
You listeners will love it even more.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we can always be hopeful. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like an eternal pessimist deep down in my core.
Yeah.
So, but I've recently adopted this philosophy of being hopeful, but not getting my hopes up. I always have to include that because I have a hard time just being like just being hopeful.
Yeah.
That just seems way too scary.
It's a little sketchy. Hope on its own is
I gotta remember,
enough.
I gotta keep it real.
yeah.
It's because hope is one of those
You lost
things.
your mic somewhere.
Right there.
Hope is one of those things that we have all experienced the letdown
Yeah.
of
So
expectations.
Yeah, so that I'm protecting myself from
Mm-hmm.
being let down. But I mean, you know, in this scenario, I mean, it's
It's not
it's
that.
all
huge.
it's not that huge
No.
of a letdown. I just will be sad to not have Tobin, and but we'll still have Tobin here in the garage
I'll be
training.
rolling. Yeah, find me
Still
on the
be
mats.
rolling,
Find me on the mats.
finding Tobin on the mats.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll pop his head in one of these podcasts in the next 6 months.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get in there. I also wanted to say, like, thanks to all the listeners and supporters. It's been super duper fun engaging everybody, and the support's super cool. And I think all the comments and all the emails and all the phone calls and everything, I just think it's important that we say thank you, because all the little things that it all matters, and it all is important. So thanks.
I don't thank you for the negativity.
The haters are going to hate.
Like,
For the
yeah,
negative
I mean,
comments, you've been heard.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, it's nice if you think that I belong here or something, but like nobody asked.
Well,
You know,
on
I don't need anybody to tell me where I belong and where I don't belong.
on but Twitter, they say it's now 70% bot traffic.
Oh, wow.
All those shitty comments.
I
kinda
think
noticed-
that some of these people are real.
YouTube and podcasts are real, but with Twitter, it's almost all
Instagram,
bots.
we don't do. I don't tweet. I'm not into the Twitter, but the Instagram guy who was all into
Shitter.
me making sandwiches in the kitchen is like that guy's
Yeah.
freaking real, and that is scary.
Sure, and he
that
runs
that
around
guy
trolling
Exists.
people. Yeah, it is.
It's scary to me that that guy does jujitsu, that he exists, that he's even a thing.
Yeah.
There's an interesting article this month in the Atlantic magazine called "The Problem with Warrior Culture."
No.
I haven't read it yet, but 3 people have shot me a link. written by a Jiu Jitsu guy, but talking about how, like a lot of things, like the community, the friendship, like all the positive parts, and then there's a dark side of that warrior culture ethic, right?
Yeah.
That can lead to fascism and misogyny and let's go be tough guys. It can get gang affiliated ish. And we all know, those of us who've been in this jits world a long time, this doesn't come from this pure higher ground martial art. It comes from the streets of Brazil and fighting to defend honor. And like there's part of warrior culture, which in our opinion can be toxic.
So
yes. The toxicity part too has been, like, from my experience doing this podcast, the part that I've been exposed to, like you whoever you are that say I don't have to pay attention to it, the fact that a man told me to go back in the kitchen, or what guy brings his wife to work, these kinds of things, I don't get my martial arts advice from a woman. These things that are actual men are actually saying, because this isn't a bot.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very,
real,
very extremely disturbing to me. Not so much personally, but just that this is even a thing in 2025, that you men are still thinking that way. You guys have a fucking problem.
Well,
get a life.
It's just straight up
wake up.
kooky, you know. I think Halleck just posted. So Halleck Gracie, the grandson of Elio Gracie,
one of my favorite Onahorian's kids. I'd say my favorite Onahorian's kids. I love Halleck.
Our friend.
Yep.
He just posted a thing about how he believes that like jiu-jitsu based from the feminine perspective is like the most pure and the best jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And like feminine, like once if the femininity is pulled out of jiu-jitsu, it's like no longer valuable.
When you
like,
analyze the yin and yang, and from what I've learned intensely from Hickson in the last 11 years, is you have to embrace that side.
Yeah.
That's the art. Is how do I do this without
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's a perfect place to jump into our topic today.
Good.
Our topic today is invisible jiu-jitsu.
Oh boy.
What is that?
First of all,
Can't see it.
we got to remember it's a gimmick word, right?
Right.
Because anything Hickson says will go viral in a certain community and then spread to the greater warrior culture. And it's one of those things that if anyone grabs hold of, it sounds really cool. And people have marketed it, not Hickson, because Hickson's not that kind of guy. He really is on that like warrior path. The money comes in. He doesn't worry about whether it does or not because he's Hickson Gracie. But what I always say is it's kind of like our eyes trick us in the grappling arts. Because the grappling arts are based on feel and touch, connection, if you will, right? Even that word became a couple years back the buzzword, right? Connection. Let me show you the connection, right? And everybody thinks they're connecting, and everybody is connecting. But it's a fucking spectrum, right? There's like levels of connection and levels of invisibility, right? So part of it is a gimmick and a sales word. Feel free. In the little blue bottle. Don't fucking do it. But like from my perspective, the best analogy way to kind of understand it is you think you can see jiu-jitsu, and you sort of can, but that's like seeing a song. You have to hear a song or hearing a painting. You have to see a painting. Each art is a medium. And the grappling medium, the finer points, the feminine side, if you will, whatever it is, if you want to get into Chinese yin and yang, Taoism, culture, Buddhism, like all that, that's the invisible part.
Is that what we're chasing when we're practicing? Because I feel like in my jiu-jitsu, I kind of noticed that like it seems like there's different modalities to teach someone jiu-jitsu. And some people, they'll go, I'm going to show you these steps. You're going to practice these steps, and then you're going to go roll, and then you're going to find the invisible stuff on your own. And then some people try to describe the invisible stuff. Like you're kind of known as like people say you're like a conceptual coach, where you kind of describe the concepts a little more. And it's almost like the person then goes and rolls and finds the invisible thing.
Yes.
And it almost seems like, is the jiu-jitsu this invisible thing that we're all chasing, not this written down moves that somebody comes up with, right?
I think it's kind of like language. Like if you're you've learned, let's just say Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French. These Romance languages all have similarities. And if you're an English or German speaker, it's a little more difficult at first, but eventually you pick them up. Then you might think you know the language when you're a purple belt, and then you try to read 1500s Spanish, and you can't, because the words have changed and the meanings have changed and all, because things change and ebb and flow. And like English, which is known as the bastard tongue, the mother tongue, because it was the poor people's language. English really is basically Pig Latin. It's a hodgepodge collection of a bunch of languages. The English royals spoke German, and English is this blend of Latin, some Gaelic, some Scottish, some German, some Dutch. And it's this very adaptive, morphing, moving language. So a lot of times, like, I think of, and maybe it's because I'm just an English snob, but I think English is like really analogous to the jiu-jitsu. A new word comes in. At first, a bunch of people don't know what that word really means. Words change in how they mean over the years. You read a book written in the 1950s, oh, he was so gay. That meant he was happy. Now that does not mean that. And maybe it'll return, right? People who've been oppressed take ownership of words to reverse the meaning on the oppressor. Like that's like the history of the English language. And the invisible part is what you cannot write down. This word means this. This armbar does this. That's the invisible part.
But because you speak English, maybe you understand that about English. How do you know that doesn't exist for other languages?
I don't know, but based on my limited amount of like looking into linguistics rabbit hole, it's kind of not as much existence in the Japanese language per se.
But I'm not saying Japanese, I'm saying other.
I'll come back to the others. But as an example, the Japanese is a pretty structural language. German has a lot of like blending of two words, Schadenfreude. The mixing of words which make a greater than 1 + 1 = 3 now, because the word has a sense of irony and humor in it, but I don't speak German. And like the Latin languages, they say are better to express feelings in romance than English is.
So maybe all languages are like jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu is just a language that's communicated by feel. Yeah. And that we can't just be like you. I think you even said maybe I'm just an English snob because I speak English.
That's true.
Right. So.
And I'm a jiu-jitsu snob.
Maybe. But I think like that the concept of feel in jiu-jitsu, if that's what we're calling invisible jiu-jitsu, that as long as I've trained, it was like, do this with your eyes closed, was suggested. It was before any kind of like invisible,
before all the words, the buzzwords.
Yeah. And connection and all these things that, like you said, kind of goes viral because Hickson said it. And then somebody said that Hickson said it because he doesn't go around just like saying, look how cool I am. Right. I came up with this and I came up with that. He's not like that. I also think you're not really like that. And some people are like that. And it just tends to be that the people who are like really outspoken and like, look at me, tend to get more attention sometimes.
They do. I think like I think like our natural human subconscious thing going, like I always try to think anthropologically and imagine a band of humans under 80 people, because then the tribe split off and it's 100,000 years ago. And why do some people get the attention and others don't? And the perception of power is very attractive to humans, even if our intellect says that power might be dangerous. Because being near power means you eat and you get to sleep with your child on your stomach and might not get slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
And it really comes down to that primal of a thing. And when we don't think that way, we start thinking, no offense to Joe Rogan, I'm sure you're a fine guy. We start thinking he's smarter than everyone else because he's popular. Mm-hmm. We think Trump must be better than everyone else because he won, because he's beat the government and we hate the government too, or like whatever it is. And do we really know what's going on, like even within our own heads, and why we want to be near power?
Yeah. Why we think what we're thinking, right?
Why we think what we're thinking. It's kind of like conspiracies, right? Like we've touched on. Most of them have a grain of truth. The government or the corporation has done some shitty things. Big Pharma has pushed opiates onto America and killed more people in a month than 9/11. But there's also wonderful scientists working in Big Pharma, solving problems and healing children who otherwise would die.
Yeah.
So it's nuanced.
Yes, and that too relates to how, if we're talking about invisible jujitsu being the part that you do not see, the part that you feel, it's a feeling art and all this stuff, that's kinesthetic. And there's a lot of people out there who are visual learners. And they can watch a video, because I experienced this with Chris. He can watch a video, he can watch two people rolling in a match that he's refereeing, and then go do the move that he just watched without someone breaking it down, without ever feeling it. So, we have a lot of like online content, not just that we're producing, but people are producing online content. And I think that is a really great resource for visual learners or people who want to cross-reference. How did Chris do that one thing when I took a private? Oh, it's in this video. I can go look at it.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of value in that online content for people like that. I'm not a visual learner, so I find no value in online video content. And I think that's okay too. But it's available for people now who need it. The other type of learner is auditory. So some people do need to hear the steps. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. Or talk about that connection so that they can insert it into feeling it. And so I think it's really important when we're thinking about learning jiu-jitsu that we realize that people have different modalities that they resonate with more than other modalities. And it's not like just because there's this invisible part of jiu-jitsu that the auditory and the visual parts of it aren't equally important for the different brains and the different learning methods that each person gravitates towards.
Well, and also for the different reasons for training, right? Like not everybody is trying to be the most dominant spiritual warrior that Rickson Gracie is, right?
Right.
Some people want to know want to know the moves just because they find it interesting in organizing their martial arts mind, all these different things, and they really actually want to be a boxer.
Yep.
But they just think it's cool to know all the jiu-jitsu moves, in which case you might never feel the essence of jiu-jitsu, but you'll know a bunch of cool stuff, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Well, and I also think that part of aging, like Rickson has told me, maybe not in these exact words, and I've said the same thing, like you realize the art grows even though your body fails. The art still is growing, right? Collectively and within you. And you're just a little piece of that art. And passing it on. Now, like, there's always been part of me that fucking thinks, God, why wouldn't I have picked something way more important than fucking jiu-jitsu? Like my joke I say almost all the time, in the age of political extremism, the rise of AI, thermonuclear war, climate change, why did I pick something so fucking unimportant?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, for my individual growth, for my mind, body, and spirit, jiu-jitsu is incredibly important.
But it's also, Chris, though, like it's like you talk about a lot, it's very primal to have a way to like defend yourself and your family, and teaching other people to do that,
Yeah.
especially in the time of political extremism, the rise of AI. What could be more important?
Right. What could be more
Than
important? Yeah.
preserving yourself and teaching other people how to preserve themselves.
Somebody's got to be able to approach those servers, get past the robots and drones to shut the fucking power off. And that's coming in about 10 years.
I mean, it's an art, right? And I think if you think about political unrest, thermonuclear war, all this stuff, you kind of always come to the conclusion, well, I guess none of this matters.
Right.
The only thing that matters is the color that we put on this
Yes.
living experience, which is all the art. So in that sense, it becomes the most important thing, because the life void of art is just...
And as Melissa's said to me numerous times, which I know she's right, it's hard for me to do because my head escapes out there, is like the most important thing is to take care of what's closest to you, your family, and all
yourself.
that.
Because without yourself, your life is nothing. There's nothing, like you're taking care of your actual physical you, what you need to be okay. You can't take care of your family if you don't take care of yourself.
No.
You can't worry. You also can't worry about geopolitical, thermodynamical, whatever stuff either.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like if you sit there and like chart your priorities, and the number one priority is me, and then like all this other stuff comes after it, you could kind of go like, oh, that's super selfish, and you could turn into a psycho. But it is kind of true. Like if you don't take care of me first, all this other stuff is gonna suffer. And I don't think you can just be like a selfless altruist and then like...
Well, that's that
all
weird dueling a primal drive that most pack animals have. Like pack animals, especially like humans, they say dolphins, elephants, and whales as well, monkeys, or primates, I should say, literally will risk their own life for a stranger in their tribe. And humans will do it outside of their tribe and even outside of their species. And they've found some animals will risk their own life for another animal outside of their species. Is that just a subconscious evolutionary remnant that has enabled the pack animal to survive? Like bees, wasps, and ants are interesting. Like talk about self-sacrifice. That's their life. It's all sacrificing for the tribe. And there are... humans have that dueling drive. Like, should I go risk myself to help that kid who's about to step out in the street? Fuck, I couldn't live with myself if I couldn't. Is that a selfish need or is that an altruistic need, right?
That oftentimes looks to me like it's a virtue signal to other people. Like it's a social...
That can be.
Cue. Yeah.
But people will do it alone. One of the greatest, I think I heard it on NPR. Now people will turn it off who hate NPR. But years ago, they interviewed a guy. He's in New York. He has his kids. A dude jumps. I was crying. He jumps on a tracks to save a guy because he couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
And he died.
Pretty rad.
But he saved him.
He saved him, but he died.
And his kids will live knowing that courage is more important than selfishness.
Yeah. No, it's a good lesson. If we're going back to invisible jiu-jitsu, right? So say you are thinking about it and you're going, what's my purpose for jiu-jitsu? And to me, like I think the highest and best jiu-jitsu purpose is to raise your spiritual... fulfilling your spiritual aspirations, right? So like for me, my journey kind of always has been, I have this like personal vision of like living a more like warrior's ethos and like developing virtuous components to myself. And the jiu-jitsu has always felt like it's carving that out of my spirit. And that's kind of what the invisible jiu-jitsu is to me. Is like, I feel like you're rolling a lot, you're collecting techniques and then rolling a lot and kind of in this scientific process of how to overcome adversity. So if you value that and you want the invisible jiu-jitsu and you want to develop your spiritual, right? Which is going to be hard if you're just studying techniques. If you just look at techniques and learn techniques, you're not going to get a lot of spiritual development from that. Maybe from the discipline required to study, but as far as really putting yourself out there and letting your soul get sharpened, it's going to be not as effective as getting out there and rolling a lot and going through the whole process in that regard. So if you're looking for invisible jiu-jitsu, what is the best modality to get there, to where you're feeling it and where you're really touching the invisible jiu-jitsu?
Kind of like I'm not a judo guy, but I dabble. I'm not a Greco guy, but I've dabbled, right? And in those like two arts, especially the structure of judo is so, Olympic judo changed it because athletics, right? But then once people get to the higher level, everyone's chasing the effortless throw, right? The effortless throw where your opponent just feels like a feather and then they hit. And a compassionate throw. You're not spiking them on their head. You're giving them the opportunity to break fall, right? Like that could be like the height of that art. But jiu-jitsu, the height is, I think, is both people trying to not do athletics, but knowing they have to a little bit, and trying to chase that game where one person ends up in a trap and can't get out, right? That's the game. And that willingness to submit your necks and your joints to that opponent who is going to show you mercy. And in our theory, regardless of whether you're too dumb to tap or not, is going to say, dude, you should have tapped. You realize I would have got you. And don't fucking argue, right? Just go, yeah, I should have. That was dumb of me, right?
Yeah.
And then like that is an environment which can foster the growth of the art. And I think the art is invisible, right?
Yeah.
That's the invisible part, is the art. The visible part is the technique and the athletics.
I think that if a person is, not willing, like, so when I was learning jiu-jitsu, you rolled. That's what you did. You rolled and you rolled more and you got beat up and there might be an easier way to learn that maybe has a little less rolling and maybe more situational stuff or whatever. But if you're not sparring in jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, you're not doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
If you're playing patty cake and boxer size, it's just like in boxing.
Yeah.
Like I don't consider myself ever to have really boxed, even though I learned how to throw a jab cross hook and do a couple of
Hit
things.
some mitts, punch some
because
bags.
I was punching bags while I was pregnant with a skilled boxing woman, female trainer, Vanessa, up in Portland, who's up in Portland now. But what was I saying? I don't consider myself a boxer because I've never sparred in boxing. I wouldn't say that I am a boxer, right?
Yeah.
So same thing for jiu-jitsu. If all I ever do is practice some moves or even just teach, I don't really feel like I'm doing jiu-jitsu. And how does that evolve over time as the body fails and you can't physically roll as much? I mean, I think that it's about adaptation and figuring out how you can do it. And that is part of the spiritual, personal journey. And that also being said is that I find for me, I need a lot more than jiu-jitsu to develop spiritually.
Yeah.
That because jiu-jitsu can also, especially when I was younger, I think it was the opposite. I think that it very much was a thing
It could manifest
centered in
unhealthy.
ego and competitiveness. And I mean, it was all part of the path, but I don't necessarily think that it was like me becoming this more spiritual person that was in touch with whatever.
No, I would say like for my personal path, like I said, it's been like developing this like warrior spirit within myself. And I take care of young children, and having that warrior spirit while caring for young children is like two antagonizing spirits. Because like the caring for children spirit is one of like endless patience, like total compassion, total empathy, letting yourself like get into their emotions and be there for them and feel what they're feeling. And like, it is not like chopping people's heads off with swords. It's like two antagonizing spirits. And it's been hard for me to be trying to develop this one spirit and then also trying to develop this other spirit. So it's like different spiritual ideals.
Maybe that's what's wrong with us as parents.
I
We
mean,
just have the warrior part. We don't have that other part.
I mean,
It
when
all makes sense now.
when my kids were really young, I mean, you know, I think I've been a good parent to them, but I definitely like have had moments where I like
Sure.
exploded, you know, like pick
Me
up the
too.
trash can and
I've
throw it
done-
across
Yep.
the room type
Yeah.
of like roid raging, you know what I mean?
All
I
the
think,
things
My dad was a rager.
yeah.
Yeah.
every time I've lost
I
my
think it's
temper, I
ingrained.
regret
I
it.
think
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with jujitsu.
Yeah.
My rage issues came long before jujitsu.
So I
There's a
think-
lot of raging
my
jiu-jitsu
warrior
people.
spirit came long before jujitsu.
Yeah, I mean,
born
I-
this way.
I think we all are. I think
Yeah.
humans are warriors, right? I think you're a battle bot, really, if you think
Yeah.
about it. Like you're a survival.
Yes.
You're built to war and survive.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I think
Our
everybody is.
modern weird world where we acquire our food with the exchange of money and like all that stuff is like doesn't match our evolutionary biology at
So,
this point.
but I just think that like what you're describing is like this warrior spirit and then this, I don't know what you want to call it, this nurturing spirit. Like really, do they have to be two different directions? Because I feel like you can show up as a nurturing warrior
Yeah.
in every aspect of your life. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be, I mean, maybe it feels like that, but that sounds like it's part of you unfolding on your journey.
Probably.
Is that you get to a place where you can be a nurturing warrior. And that a lot of times happens with age because you can't just be this like, I'm going to smash everybody anymore.
Yeah.
You have to be more of this coach,
Yeah.
encouraging people, and you are nurturing people on the mat as well.
Yeah.
And the line I always use, environment trumps will, right? And if you're in that aggressive, hierarchical warrior culture, or in the don't roll with anybody because you don't want to look bad, in like those to me are toxic warrior cultures, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the, hey, let's slap, bump, and roll. Let's analyze technique. Cool, you caught me with that. How'd you do that? Like that's the healthy environment, and
Yeah.
from my perspective, at least, and
And that's nurturing too.
that's nurturing.
Yeah. So it's the same. It's all the same.
Yeah. I mean, everything's kind of a balance of opposites, right?
Yeah,
And maybe that's the way I'm.
that's
doing
why
it
I'm a
more. It's
Hegelian
like-
Taoist. It's that nuanced balance of opposites. Ever something seems so right, and it is, and then the next moment it's wrong.
What's it like training with the invisible jiu-jitsu guy, Hickson Gracie?
Cool.
What's his energy like when you're around him?
I mean, like, I'm not one of those people that mythologizes other people. I mean, and Hickson will say he's just a man. You know, I'm just a man who's done this so long that I've figured out a lot of stuff because I never stopped being curious about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like somebody else, they might get their black belt, open their school, they're not as curious about it anymore. They create a dogma, a curriculum, and just teach, right?
Yeah.
And then they burn out on it.
And then they
hate
burn
it,
out, and then they
just
hate it,
whatever.
or whatever. Other people go, God, there must be a better way to even choke than I learned. There must be something else, and let's figure it out. And that's kind of the spirit I get. Now, at the same time, you know, Hickson came from warrior culture and came from that thing you win or die trying, and that's a piece of it, right? But he's also, you know, older and humble and doesn't have that it's kind of like that thing, like I always say it's important to go through that because otherwise you become Aikido or like whatever, right? Like Aikido is the height of martial arts, aliveness, connection, invisibility. Like Aikido really is it, right?
Yeah.
How do I control and submit my opponent the least violent way, utilizing the most technique, leverage, cunningness, and guile, and no athletics? That's Aikido. So the theory.
So it's the
of
same as jujitsu.
right?
Because that's your definition
Yeah.
of jujitsu.
That's-
What is jujitsu?
But But they never say, but sometimes you got to use athletics. And when they do, they don't spar, so they hide it and pretend like if you just get at the higher level, this will work. And that's how those
Or if you're a Jiu Jitsu black belt, it'll work.
Right.
Clifton's dad is like this super high-ranking, gnarly Aikido guy. And you know when you're going down Hawthorne,
Yeah.
and right before you get to PCH, on the left-hand side, there's that Aikido dojo. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I'm
It's
not
like a
picturing it.
little building with like wooden slats.
Yeah,
on the
I know where it
windows.
is.
It looks like an old school, cool martial arts place.
I'm sure if I drove past, I'd go, oh, yeah.
He's one of the instructors there, and he's gnarly. Like
Yeah.
he's like one of the gnarliest guys I know.
I know
And,
Aikido guys like Jay. If you're a Jiu Jitsu black belt, you can make Aikido work. That's
Yeah.
the line I've been saying for 20 years.
Okay.
If you're a Jiu Jitsu black belt, you can make Aikido work
Yeah.
because you have a functional martial art.
Is Clifton's dad a Jiu Jitsu black belt?
Might be a judo black belt, might just be a
He's
tough brawler.
He's a judo black belt,
Yeah.
and then he's like ranked in jiu-jitsu, but he just doesn't really. He like,
If you're a kickboxer, you'll make
just
Krav
hasn't-
Maga work.
yeah, he just hasn't gone to the classes to get the rank, but he's super good.
Yeah.
I think he like won the worlds at blue belt or something like that, with like very little training in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think like Aikido, Krav Maga, there's a lot of those, Wing Chun Kung Fu, are like polishing arts. If you get really good at a grappling art, at a takedown art, at a kickboxing or boxing art, you can suddenly, in a weekend clinic, know those arts pretty well. Or like pick up like their essence that makes them good, right? Or you can go to a jiu-jitsu class for 10 years, never roll, be able to perform all the techniques, show all the self-defense, and I cannot put you in a purple belt match and win. You're going to fucking lose. But I could teach that purple belt the self-defense things if I go reference it and look it up because I don't remember it all, and then go, oh yeah, and then he'll know it in a weekend clinic.
Cool. Well, I think we touched invisible jiu-jitsu
I think so.
pretty good. I think it's well described there. Did you want to prepare a gym shout out du jour?
Well, is this coming out on Friday?
It's gonna come out on Friday, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, on Saturday. Wait, no, this is not this Saturday. This is October.
Well, let me
October
say we
18th.
still got although we're in a little transition period, we still have the Patreon going. So if you want to hit the Patreon, you can still get on board there. If you want to send some emails, we got podcast@combatbase.com, and we got the hotline 949-791-7763. We need you to hit the hotline and hit some rants. Those are super fun, and we need some more of that.
More rants. Okay, so
what do you
on
got?
October
And I looked it up
18th.
just real quick.
Yeah.
The guy who jumped on the guy having a whatever on the track held him down and he lived.
Oh wow,
The train went over them both.
dang.
He was having a seizure?
A seizure.
Is that what a whatever is?
a seizure.
Oh, interesting. Okay, they lived. Less tears. We could be more happy.
I cried everything.
That's fine.
Good. Feeling you're good.
Commercials. All right. So October 18th, Chris is going to go out to Roger Carpenter Jiu Jitsu in Hemet
Hemet.
and do a seminar.
Am I driving? Or flying?
You want to fly somewhere an hour away?
No, I'll drive.
Yeah, I think you should drive. Some of you can go. Somebody can drive you maybe from South Bay if they want to head out there.
When is that? October 18th?
October 18th, yeah, at 11 a.m. There's a seminar at Roger Carpenter Jiu Jitsu in Hemet. So that's a SoCal thing. It's a little east of where we live. And Roger has a school out there that's part of our combat base club. And we appreciate his contributions to our club very much and hosting Chris. And he attended our camp this summer and has come out here to the garage several times. And
Good dude, very tough, very good balance of mind, body, and spirit, street art, and sport.
Yeah.
Very cool guy. I like Roger.
Warrior.
Definitely. Cool. That sounds good. We got a bunch of texts and emails that I wanted to hit.
Catch up on?
Yeah, catch up on.
Okay.
Let's catch up on these and then let's get out of here. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we got this email. It says, Chris, Melissa, and combat-based crew, looking for some guidance. For background, I'm an almost 50-year-old retired military vet and have the normal aches, pains, and bad mobility in my knees, ankles, hips, and lower back that is common to many infantrymen.
Ooh, yep. Humping rucks.
A couple of months ago, my wife, son, daughter, and I all started Jiu Jitsu. And while the rest of my family loves it, I'm having some issues due to the wear and tear on my body. I can make it through the warm-ups without much discomfort, but when it comes to the instructional portion of the class, I'm finding that my body doesn't enjoy some of the techniques. For example, we worked on De La Hiva guard a few times, and walking became interesting. Even some of the more foundational things, like the knee cut pass, can make me sore for a couple of days.
Yep.
On to the questions. It seems like people refine their technique or end up in a more foundational, basic old man style as they age or have injuries. But how do you start at this point without prior training and the experience to know what your techniques work and don't work for your body? How do you focus on things that feel good, like mount, side control, close guard, and half guard, while most other group classes focus on the more flashy, for lack of better terms, modern sport jiu-jitsu techniques that don't work for my older injured body? Also, am I missing out on vital lessons learned, techniques, or skills required because I skip some of that stuff? Quitting isn't an option. I do other activities to work on mobility, strength, and cardio, but I would like to train with my family and be able to walk the next day. Thank you for taking the time to read my email, and I look forward to your input. Respectfully, Dennis, the new old guy.
Let me go real quick.
Yeah.
So Dennis, the new old guy. I think it's really important that your instructor understand where you're at, and that you're able to partner with somebody who's going to look out for you. And like I think Chris and I, both of us, probably wouldn't enjoy just going into any group class where we were expected to perform just any old technique, because there's certain things that, yes, I am not willing to do things that are going to make it so that I can't walk the next day. So we have to be our own advocate. We have to have instructors who are going to understand that we're not going to just do whatever they say because they say that we should do it, especially if they're 30 years old and they have no idea what it's like to be an older person that's banged up. So yeah, you really have to be your own advocate. And if something's going to make it so that you can't walk the next day, then absolutely do not do it. It's a hard no. It is a hard no. I'm not doing that technique. Maybe you can allow the other person to just drill on you. That's something that I would do, is I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can't do that, but you can do it on me. And I will learn by watching that person, or just practice my defense against it. Chris?
Yeah, the key is to know where you're at, be your own advocate. Don't push yourself to compete with the young people. Like in the last couple of years, particularly in the last couple of weeks, like I'll start rolling with a person, and I definitely do not match their energy. Whatever it is, it's natural that when we roll someone smooth, we'll start going smooth. And roll someone tense, we'll tense it up. I just, no matter what, don't match it. Just stay nice and calm, kind of sluggish, and be very protective of my multitudes of injuries. Like right now, my right knee's bugging me. My left hip is really tight. It's tight. Like I can't stretch in certain positions. I would say this is the first month where I can't straddle and drop my elbows anymore. It just seems not work anymore, but that's fine. I'm going to adapt and change my art. And I know people who have been through knee surgeries and hip surgeries and still figure out a way to do jiu-jitsu.
I would also add that communication is super important with your partners. So like you and I rolled on Monday, and you told me, you're like, hey, my knee is bothering me. And there was 3 or 4 times during our roll when I thought I could do a turnover or something that would have required you to roll over that knee. And I chose not to do those moves. And so,
Whereas the white belt who's so enthusiastic with 4 stripes who wants to impress me is just going to do that.
just going to rip it over
Just
your
gonna
knee.
blow over me, yeah.
Because you're a black belt.
Put on
So
black
you should
belt.
be able to
Yeah,
handle
you
anything.
can handle
I
it.
can't get
What's
hurt.
wrong with you?
Yeah. Those are good advices. All right.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you're an old infantryman, like you have win or die trying ingrained in you from the past. That was really hard shit to shake off.
Yeah.
Really hard, because now it's time to die trying, right? And but you gotta, you gotta kind of shake that shit away,
Nice.
because winning is being left.
Yeah. All right. Here's another one. We got a text message. We all know what the stripes mean on black belts. They're placeholders for the years you've been practicing black belt instructor. What do the stripes signify on colored belts?
From my perspective, the whole reason that began was, again, let's go back to anthropological reasons and the tribe. When you have 40 guys, you can loosely keep track of how long everyone's been at each belt, how good they're doing, and all that stuff. But suddenly when you have a bunch, or if you're ADHD like me, if you have more than 20, it gets kind of like hard. Like, how long has that guy been a blue belt for? Jeez, I haven't, like, because all of a sudden months and years go by really fast. So the stripe is for the instructor to know where a person has been in length of time at that belt. Mm-hmm. Because it's, if I see a 4-stripe tattered purple belt, I need to get that guy to brown belt, mm-hmm. if he's not there already. Mm-hmm. But if I see a brand new no stripe purple belt and he's fucking up and doing things, I could like visually see, okay, he doesn't need to be where I think he needs to be. And that's like the importance to me of the stripes. I used to say all the time back when I had a less amount of guys and people would ask me, hey, coach, am I ready for a stripe? So you can put fucking 10 on. Because it doesn't mean you're the next higher belt. But then I realized, oh, the stripes are for the instructor.
Yeah.
So the instructor knows where you're at. And if it starts becoming about anything else, that's your business, that's your school, that's your system, whatever. You can do that.
Yeah, and isn't it like a sales thing too, to like keep people?
You can have a
people
test
excited.
to get your next stripe on your belt,
Yes.
and it only costs $100.
Yeah.
So that means that every
Belt's
belt
worth
you're going to get
$400
$400, and then for your actual colored belt to get your blue belt test, it's like
500.
another $500. So
Yeah.
we just turned that whole process into $900.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for kids' belts, sometimes they'll do stripes. They'll do, instead of just doing 4 stripes, they do 12 stripes.
Yeah.
So 3 different, you can get 4 white stripes, 4 red stripes, 4 black stripes. And then you can charge them $100 a pop. So now you turn the kids into $1,200.
And it's a thing that
And
will,
way more belts inserted in there.
and it will push attendance because you'll have promotion day.
Oh, reward. And it also, like, I think one of the reasons why they had more for kids is to give them some positive encouragement. Oh, look,
That's
you
what I
got a
was thinking.
stripe, you keep
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
You got another stripe,
That's
you keep
important.
training.
That's why
That's good.
kids have more belts. Like I've heard even Brazilians say the problem with Jiu Jitsu belts is too long in between them. I think we need to have more belts. Like I've heard that. Like when I hear that, I cringe.
The Hibero's inserted a green belt,
I know.
so it's
You see,
blue, green.
To me, I cringe.
Green in between blue and purple?
Yeah, so if you're a Hibero Jiu-Jitsu school, you get a white belt and you get a green belt,
Oh.
and then a blue belt.
You see,
It's between
Yeah.
white and blue.
this is where the
Yeah.
true conservative in me comes out. It's like, quit trying to fucking rewrite the system.
Yeah.
Make your philosophy adapt to the game that was handed down to you
Yeah.
and the system that was handed to you. That's why, like, even Hickson, who hates IBJJF, even like John Jack, who hates IBJJF, we basically follow their guideline because that's the guideline, right?
yeah.
And we kind of all got to be on the same page. We can't start adding belts and saying, no, I'm going to give my red belts out later.
And
like,
so
whatever.
many people don't follow the guidelines on the black belt stripes.
Yeah.
So many
Yeah.
people don't.
Yeah.
GU. So they give their black belts stripes like every 2 years instead of 3, and they keep going, which means they get to catch up. And
Well-
part of that is because Huron and Henner want to have more stripes than people like me, so they get to catch up faster.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, they gave Richard Breisler a coral belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he
And
died.
he wasn't. Yeah, but
But the coral belt is like, to me, he deserved that.
okay. I'm
Because-
not saying he didn't deserve it. I don't want to be.
He was way ahead of me.
Yeah.
And
He started in 1979.
He
He
got-
started in 1988.
he got politically screwed by Horion.
Huh.
He
But
should have been
Horion
the
wouldn't give out black belts
to an American,
to Americans.
to a non-Brazilian.
And the Machados and whoever else were the
Machados
first ones.
and Hickson did,
Yeah.
and that's what changed that whole game.
Nice. Well, that's nice that they did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he should have been the first American black belt.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that. I didn't know the history.
Even though I
Did you
don't,
read his book?
I didn't read his book. No.
I
should.
think it's a good
Sounds
book.
like I
there's
should.
a lot that Richard and I don't agree on, but there's a few things we do, and he was touched that I agreed he should have been the first American black belt.
Rest in peace, Richard.
All right. Moving on. Let's hit these other ones real quick, and then we'll
Real
get
quick.
out of here.
Okay.
This guy Steve Lampsona, he's been a great contributor online. He says, how does a BJJ academy with a structured curriculum support or limit students compared to schools with more experience-based training? So how does having a structured curriculum, how does that hold students back from progressing compared to one that just more focuses on rolling?
Let me go real quick. I think it depends on the student.
Yeah.
Because some students probably need that more structured curriculum because that's the way their brain works. And some students don't. Like, I feel like for me, I would benefit from a more structured curriculum, and I feel like Chris wouldn't. We're two totally different ways of processing information. And I'm very mathematical and A plus B equals C, and he's very abstract and artistic and whatnot. We both end up at the same place, but it's just different pathways. So I think that when one is looking for a place to train, if there's multiple options, one should try all the options before they make a decision.
Yep. I have nothing to add to that.
Okay. Yeah, and I'd say I'm somewhere in between those two. I need both. So like for me, a good combo for a while was like going to Gracie University and getting techniques and like getting a curriculum and then coming back here and just rolling a whole bunch.
Yeah.
That was like a good
That's a
combo
good
for me.
combination. Yeah.
But I've fallen into this spot where like the learning that I want is just your stuff that you teach. I'm trying to catch that, and then I just like to roll that too. And I'm just trying to get in what I can. So the rolling trumps the curriculum for me.
Because that's
all
the
day.
enjoyable.
Yeah, and plus
And-
it's like you're already a black belt, but when you're a white belt, if you all you ever do is roll,
Yeah.
I think that is going to be detrimental for the student.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn.
That's
And
a-
yes, it's a lot conceptual, but then also learning moves. You got to learn moves.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just got to learn some moves.
If you're pretty athletic and not totally dumb, you'll rise by just rolling to purple belt, and then you're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
Then you're going to need some technique. And if you get all the way to brown belt with technique, and then you start to roll, you're going to suffer until you pick up rolling.
So not two opposing things, two necessary things.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. All right, last thing. I know you guys say you're always a student of the art, but what does the transition look like from being a student to becoming a coach and mentor for other people? How does your mindset change?
You
This is a
never
tech
stop
message.
being a student of the art. But that doesn't mean you can't be a teacher of the art too. And you can teach when you're a blue belt and a purple belt.
I taught when I was a white belt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a natural, like, to me, it's not a becoming. Like, I feel like I was born a person who likes to teach things
That's how
to
you
other
learn,
people.
by
That's
teaching.
how I learn. So when I was in the 8th grade, I taught math to 4th graders. Like, and I became a professional math tutor when I graduated college and ran a tutoring business for many years, and then, whatever. And so as soon as I started learning jiu-jitsu, I wanted any lady that I met was like, hey, do you want to come to my house? Like, other young girls or whatever, ladies that I would meet in different arenas that potential friends, maybe not, who knows, maybe I scared them away, want to come to my house and practice Jiu Jitsu. I do Jiu Jitsu. Would you like to practice Jiu Jitsu with me? It would give me another opportunity to train with smaller bodied people. And I show them what I was learning. And then, that kind of, I always had a group like that for many, many years until the last couple years. I always had a group that would come to the house and that I would just practice being a teacher too. Yeah.
So this is my question for you guys. How do you manage, you might not struggle with this. I feel like internally for me, when I find myself teaching somebody on the mats, I very quickly dip into like feeding my ego or something like that. And I feel sometimes like I'm like teaching them and showing them to make me feel like better about myself or something
always
like that.
a little of
I
that.
know. Well, I think that's to me, it's
healthy,
like more like, I don't know. In some ways,
It makes
I feel
it more
like
interesting.
or in some ways, I feel like I've grown past that, but maybe at
Yeah.
certain phases,
Yeah.
that was more like, oh, look what I know, look what I could do.
Yeah, it kind of ends up being about showing them what I know, not necessarily
Right.
answering what they're asking or what
right.
they might need,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that over time I've become more mindful of that and maybe just more compassionate. So I usually won't show people something anymore unless they ask me
Yeah. I know you think
specifically.
that, yeah. That's totally your
And
thing,
plus
right?
we also charge. So people pay us money to show them stuff. So I don't want to give something away for free that I could be making money from. Because that wouldn't be fair to the students who I charge money to.
Right.
If I just give everybody free privates. Unless unless it's like something agreed upon that I said, okay, you come to Open Mat, I'll work with you for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's the end of the show.
Let's wrap it up.
Cool. Again, I'm going to be back for one more. We're going to have Vince. And then we're going to see how the show progresses after that.
Yeah.
But,
Sick.
ready?
On 3.
Pound,
like, and subscribe.
法跟毅力，
对
一步一个脚步，前无所谓，切大势。
Well, we all have targets on our backs these